back. It is me. It is the Cyber Warrior. This is Cyber Warrior Studios, and I know you're all here for another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour. Now, as I have stated before, I stated last week, and I will continue to reiterate this point. All super chats, all donations, all everything that have given us, that are going to be given to Cyber Warrior Studios, will be going to the Latrobe Youth Football Organization because we need to get them some new stuff for next year. It just has to happen. So let's get this money together. Let's help them out. Now, otherwise, I got a big show planned. We got Blair coming in here in a little bit, and it's going to be an amazing show. It is going to be amazing because this show always is. Y'all know how I do. Now, look, if you just hang with me for, I promise, it's just 10 seconds. I'll be right back. Told you it was just 10 seconds. And wait, there it is. I'm back. The official kickoff Security Happy Hour. Cheers, skull, salute to everybody out there. I hope you had an amazing week. Now, saying that, Blair, how was your week been, brother?
Well, this week has been very interesting. For those that have been following me along on Twitter, you can tell that I'm not at home. I have been on the road all week, and a very interesting road trip of sorts. And but other than that, everything has been going wonderful.
That's awesome. I mean, so there's a lot of news that comes with you being on the road, though. So a lot of big things happening. But before we get into all of that, let's start in the beginning, like we do for everybody. Let's talk about how you got into cybersecurity and really what makes you you in this industry and in this field.
Yeah, so really, it goes back to my teenage years. I mean, I kind of I was a bored teenager with a computer in the middle of rural North Carolina. There was really nothing to do. I got into freaking a little bit, and that got me interested in telephone systems. Later on, I actually started my professional career when I was 17 back in '99, and have just been going ever since. When they found out that I started at a PC repair shop that did IT consulting. And when they found that I knew how to do Windows Server administration, that's what blossomed into that. And then I started making sure that, trying to make sure that all of their security was up to date and up to snuff. Make sure that users adhered to policies and things like that. And really, it just kind of rolled into it. I've had various roles over the years that honestly led me up to my last role as named as network administrator. But right before I left that job, my title was about to change to cybersecurity analyst, finally. But anyway, it's been a wild ride to get to this point. I've worked for MSPs, going out on site, doing on-site break fix stuff, on my own business. That really didn't work out so well, but and now I've got a new venture. So.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the big things, right? So when we go throughout our careers, we all come from different places. You, like myself, come from a background in IT. So for us, I think it makes it a little bit easier, not necessarily completely easy, but easier to really break into the field and to break into the industry. But you have to have the right connections still. You have to have the network. You have to have the wherewithal to like kind of tailor and build a resume along the way that'll fit those roles that you're looking for. So, even for someone like myself who's come from cybersecurity, I did it in the Army and, things like that, being a veteran of the industry and a veteran in and of itself, it wasn't easy for me getting out. So you can have all the background in the world. It gets your foot to like the precipice, but it's still on you to keep going. And a lot of people forget that. They think, oh, just because I got this, or this, it'll be easy. I could just do it. Nah, not necessarily. I retired out of the Army with like 10 certifications, a degree, and experience, and I still had to fight tooth and nail for everything I got.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, and that's actually one of the battles that I'm fighting now with a lot of places, because a lot of places are starting to become sticklers with the degrees. And I mean, you can read it online. People will argue degrees versus certs all day long, and to me, I just go by what I've seen, what I have done, and I've got all the basic certs, but I don't have that degree. And that seems to be the thing. That's one reason why I'm actually in a degree program with WGU to get my bachelor's in cybersecurity. And, I'm doing that mostly just so that I finally have it, because that seems to be the one sticking point a lot of companies have.
Yeah, and that's brutal too, because there's so many. And I say the same thing about degrees that I do about clearances that that burn the government and the all these government entities and things of that nature. Is you'll see them require degrees with GPAs or clearances and this at the third, and I'm like, you realize half the people you want probably can't get a clearance, because I'm all going to guarantee you they're on some type of drug or have done something in their past that is going to get them hemmed up from having it, or they have no credit or shitty credit or one of the two. I was like, or they don't have a degree. They don't have any of these things. They can't get any of these things for one reason or another, or have chosen not to. But they are the best you are going to find in the industry, and you are handcuffing yourself to saying, "Oh, we have all these requirements, so you have to abide by them."
Yeah, and that's one of the things when I was
the attackers care, right? They care if you have a certification.
Oh, of course, always. And they don't work weekends or nights either. They keep banking hours.
Never.
But yeah, no. See, that was always one of the things that was frustrating for me when I was looking for a job, and it's just like, they kept saying, oh, I would go through these technical interviews and they would be like, oh man, you've got all this technical expertise. This is exactly what we need. And then they ship me over to HR, and HR, starts going down the list, and, oh, sorry, you don't meet this one requirement that we have. Goodbye. And, it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating how much good talent is out there getting shoved out the door just because they don't meet one of those requirements. Exactly. It's ridiculous.
All right. So, and we're going to get into these red flags that I want to talk about, because I really do want to talk about all these red flags. There's actually quite a few of them that I want to discuss. Mm-hmm. But before I do, on that note of these requirements, this is why I have found, right? So, and we'll take this from a male-female perspective. Mm-hmm. So many men will sit there, look at a job description, not look at anything else, and apply if they believe they can do that job description, right? Mm-hmm. Many of the women will go out there, look at every single requirement. If they don't match like 80% of those requirements, they won't even try to apply. Mm-hmm. So now, not only do you have that issue, right, mm-hmm. of what the problem is, but then the ones that they do apply for, or anybody applies for, and they feel they meet 80, 90%, they're getting kicked out because they ain't got a degree. They don't have a certain certification, or whatever the case may be. And I think at that point, something has to give. Mm-hmm. Because, and we talked about it a little bit the other week about cyber talent. Organizations, companies, government, all this other stuff they're handcuffing themselves. They are refusing to allow in those with actual talent, with the hunger to learn, with the drive to do whatever it takes to secure your network. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take this person. I had this argument with Department of Energy one time. Mm-hmm. They were like, oh, we're only going to take someone for our help desk full time if they have a 3.6 GPA coming out of college. I said, homie, I got a 2.67, but I've been doing his job for, I don't know, about 8 years now. You're telling me you won't hire me? He said, well, you get a CCIE, I'll hire you for 6 figures. No, I'm not going to get that. But I've been doing his job and being your hardware support and working with your help desk and doing help desk for the Air Force for I don't know how long. And you're going to tell me no because I don't have a 3.6. Get bent. I'm like, because this dude's going to come in and it's going to take you at least 1.5 years to train him on what the hell your systems do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I really do feel, especially, you talk, when you get down to GPAs, it's actually funny. I had a job questionnaire that I was taking for one of the jobs I was applying for, and it was asking me what my GPA was. I'm sitting here going, I don't even know right now.
Right?
I mean, it's
been years.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, okay.
I got my 20-year high school anniversary coming up next year. Like, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's craziness, but
yeah. So with that, there's a lot of issues in this job market also, and like I said, the topic of this show is red flags. Now we're going to go on tangents about a bunch of other things, throughout the course of the episode. But let's at least start with the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Red flags, because you came across a few.
Oh, yeah.
So let's let you discuss what you have found to be red flags within the industry.
Okay, well, I mean, for one thing, I just so that everyone is aware, a while back I was working for a company, been there 5 years. I got offered another job, and it seemed too good to be true. And there was a few things that didn't quite add up, and that was things that I was kind of blinded by the paycheck, blinded by better financial security for my family. So I went ahead and just kind of overlooked them. I kept thinking, no, I'm absolutely just I'm just freaking out. My anxiety's getting to me. Let's just push through, keep pushing through. And I did. I worked a notice, went to that other job. And on my very first day, they pulled me aside and told me that they didn't believe I was a good fit for their company culture and let me go. And suddenly I was unemployed completely. Now, there were some certain red flags that I did overlook with that. And one of the red flags that I overlooked really was the fact that I was contacted by a recruiting company who described the job that interested me. And when I interviewed during my technical interview, they described a completely different job. So one of the things that I really think that people really need to understand really is exactly what do some of these jobs entail. Because the recruiting company, they described a really good network administration position, and the technical interviewers, they were describing a help desk job. And me coming from both a network administration, a systems administration, and even help desk background, I'm like, okay, I mean, you put me to work. If you're going to pay me what you promised me, there you go. I'll come in and do it. I'll do whatever you need. And then I went back to I passed the technical interview, and then I went to visit with the site supervisor, because even though I was being interviewed for a corporate position with this particular company, they had places, they had offices and facilities all over the U.S. I was going to be stationed and assigned to a specific local office, and that was about 20 miles away from my home. So it was a shorter commute and more money. I mean, who wouldn't say yes to that and jump through whatever hoops, really? Well, when I got to the site, that gentleman was describing a completely different job, and it was more like a systems engineer. And because he was wanting me to come up with solutions for a lot of things, and I'm like, okay, well, fine. I've done a lot of systems admin work. I could do this. I can still do this. But anyway, yeah, going back to that, the fact is that I got essentially 3 different job descriptions about the same job. That right there was one of the red flags. The second red flag really was that I was promised one figure, and then they started to negotiate, but not really. They was just like, okay, well, this is the max figure that we're going to give you. But no, now this is the max. And, I even told the recruiting company, I'm like, listen, go back to them, tell them I want the old figure or this is over. And they didn't do it. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it anyway. It was still a good pay bump. So that was another one. They were getting kind of, I don't know whether I was just a worse negotiator with them or what, but the fact is, they did kind of go back on what they originally promised me, but fine, I overlooked that. Then all of a sudden, they completely went radio silent on me, like absolutely nothing. I couldn't get a hold of anybody there. The recruiting company couldn't get a hold of anybody there. Now they were promising me, oh yeah, somebody's going to call you back. Somebody's going to call you back. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I'll be honest with you, it was after I had already finished my last day that I finally got somebody to call me back and tell me, okay, yes, you do in fact still have a job. The offer is still valid. So let's go ahead and get you in here and, set up my first day. And then of course that first day turned out to be my last day, but
so where you were at that point, is it all at will employment?
Oh,
basically they can fire you or you can quit and nobody can say anything.
Correct.
Yeah, it's always rough.
Yep.
And yet they still preach 2 weeks notices.
Mm-hmm.
And actually some places even longer.
Yep.
They did this. I was with a company that did the same to me. No warnings, no whatever. They just, hey, you're done.
Yep.
All right, cool. Good to know.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good thing I saw the writing on the wall about a month ago and already started interviewing. But
Yeah.
hey, good to know. But yeah, no, that's crazy because like when you get so many different job descriptions, this is why recruiters, I'm very hesitant.
Mhm.
Those that reach out to me. So like I get a bunch through my email and things like that, and I don't ever, half the time the jobs are way below my level and they're never going to match my pay. There's no way I'm going to leave. But even then, if I have someone reaching out to me that is not, how do I put this, with a known, good, approved, somehow through connection recruiting agency or just network of mine, I won't touch them.
Yeah.
If I get blind emails like, hey, we have a network engineer job, or hey, we have a network, or hey, we have help desk, or we have da da da. Half of the job opportunities I get in my email or for things that are like junior level, like I should just be starting out. And I'm like, homie, have you seen my resume, my LinkedIn profile, anything? No?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like just making sure. But it happens all the time. You get it on LinkedIn, you get it on whatever. And then to your point, the salary range looks great. People look at that and they're like, oh, I can make double what I make now. I'm going to go for that without ever putting two and two together as they go through the process. And again, when you hear a different job description from one to the other, to the other, to the other, something's a trigger. And that is why I am a very big proponent of network. Unless you specifically apply for a job or talk to a recruiter or personally embedded with a recruiting company. Like I went through Bradley Morris for one of my jobs. So unless you're personally embedded with one of these organizations or going through your network or apply for a job directly, I'm very hesitant about people to reach out to me.
Yeah.
Very, very hesitant. And I will give them some off the wall numbers. I ain't gonna lie. I've done it. I have literally told a company that or a recruiter that I wanted like $150,000 more a year than I was making.
Right.
They came close, but they didn't meet the 150.
Yeah. And and the stark contrast between the experience with that company and another company. Now, granted, I was in both instances I was contacted by a recruiter. Well, one of them contacted me on LinkedIn, and the other one just emailed me. And they emailed me months ago, and asked me if I was interested in a job. I asked where, and they said where it was, and I said no. I mean, because it was out of state.
Yeah.
It was something I had no interest in. And then later on they emailed me again. They actually kept in touch with me and tried to create a human connection there.
Right.
And to me, I feel like that right there was the stark difference between these two opportunities. Because what's interesting is they both happened right around the same time.
Right.
And again, I actually interviewed for both companies within a week of each other. And the company, we'll just say that, company A, the one that I went with, I thought that they presented a better offer because it was local. Company B, they tried to get me into a local area, into one of their local facilities, and there wasn't anything there because when they did my technical interview, I interviewed higher than anything they had available. So then they were like, well, we've got stuff for you, but you're going to have to go out of state. And I told them no again. So twice I've turned down that job. Well, so it was, after that, then of course I went back to them and said, well, this happened, and just told them what happened. And it was just a casual conversation. And they're like, well, you've already done the hard part of the interview. Let's see if we can place you somewhere. And they started, sticking my resume and everything in both, in every area, every area that they had available for me. And eventually somebody was like, yeah, sure, we want him. We'll bring him down. And that's actually where I am today. I am on my way to it. It is an out-of-state job, but it was one of those that, for one, I didn't want to turn them down a third time, but at the same time, it would mean a lot more stability for my family. And that right there to me is the most important thing. And it kills me that I'm going to have to live away from them for a while. Eventually, I'm planning on bringing them down. We've got a unique family situation that kind of prohibits them moving right now. But I'm working through that. It's one of those. I had a good opportunity for a job. I'm taking it, and then we'll figure out the rest of the details later. And my wife has been 100% on board with this, and that to me has been really what's made the difference. She's as an outsider to the tech industry. You know, I've kind of gotten hosed with jobs like this before in the past, but as an outsider, she's kind of gotten to see firsthand the dirty side of what happens with that. So, you know, that made her a little more, a little more flexible. And okay, well, yeah, then I can live with handling the kids myself for a bit, you know.
Yeah, and I got a question here from James, but we'll hit that in a second. James, thank you for the $5, by the way. But yeah, for me, I have the advantage of coming from the Army and my wife moving and dealing with me being gone and all these other things. So travel isn't necessarily an issue.
Yeah.
But in 6.5 years, I moved 4 times, 5 times, something like that. So moving is never going to be allowed.
Yeah.
And I made that promise to her when we moved back home was I am not moving again. We bought our house about 2 years ago. I said, I'm not moving again. This is it. And if somebody needs me to move, they can get bent. I'm not doing it.
Yep.
They'd have to pay me well above my means for me to be willing to even consider it at all. But I don't plan on moving it at all. But again, it's the same thing, right? You know, you look at a lot of these issues, you got to have that support system. And Andrea said it, right? A support team.
Yep.
You know, you have to have that. If you don't, then your career, especially in cybersecurity, will flounder because then you have to worry about it. What I will say is this, is these organizations that are requiring in person for anything cybersecurity related, that's where I have an issue. Now, there's certain times where it's required, and I get it. There are certain organizations that they don't really have Office 365 or cloud or anything like that. So to work remotely makes it a lot harder. Nigh on impossible because of some of the systems.
Yeah.
But depending on the role, depending on what you're doing and the availability, a lot of times if it's like, hey, we have hybrid, then why am I even moving? Why am I coming in to work for you if you have the hybrid opportunity? Give me full remote, homie. I can do the exact same job from my house. You shouldn't even have to move. So things like that. But I do have this question from James. Let's throw this up here right quick. Sure. What would be the best way to persuade the industry to change the ridiculous job requirements outside of making your own startup? Blair, any advice?
Oh, well, really, I feel like that what they should do really is pay attention more to the technical interviews. Because sometimes somebody can, they may not have all of these opportunities. I can just speak from my own experience. I got the CompTIA A+ certification in 2007, and that was something that was funded by family to help me get, my first cert. I started in 1999, and I didn't get my first cert until 2007. Immediately afterward,
I got you beat. Yes.
But immediately afterward, I started studying for the Network Plus certification. Well, unfortunately, when it came time for me to take the test, we couldn't afford it. And so, I had the working knowledge of it, but I didn't have the cert. So anybody who would have interviewed me at the time, I would have had really good, strong knowledge of that cert, but not have it. And I feel like that's one of the things that people are really missing out by not interviewing people more. I mean, I understand that it takes time. I understand that there's going to be, you're going to have an expense there. But I feel like if you take the time to get to know some of these candidates that where their resume or their application may not be quite as strong, I think you're really going to find a lot of hidden talent there. Because, everybody's looking for that unicorn. Well, guess what? Sometimes that unicorn, they might not shine just as pretty as, some of the others. You got to have to uncover them a little bit.
I mean, I am pretty. Let's be honest.
Well, yeah, you are.
But no, I mean, and here's the sad part with that, because you brought up, someone having the knowledge like yourself, but not necessarily having the certification. There are too many people that have the certification that don't have the knowledge.
Exactly.
Because they go through a test thumper, they go through some other means, get the certification. They're like, oh yeah, I got the certification. They get their foot in the door to do the interview, and then don't have the knowledge to back it up. But the interviewer, and I'm gonna hit SAR and AR's point here in a minute, but the interviewer doesn't have the technical knowledge or know-how to interview to that point.
Right.
So they got their foot in the door. Then you've got the boss, whether it's a manager, a director, whatever. They've been out of the game way too long. They don't know what this should have.
Right.
And so they don't know what questions to ask. They stick to what they know. This person knows it because it's older. Maybe they've done a little bit, or maybe they can, kind of weasel their way through the questions. And the guy's just kind of like, or the girl's just kind of like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly what you said. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, it's completely wrong, off the wall, and nobody knows.
Yeah.
But, as far as changing job requirements, James, it's going to be a generational thing. It's not necessarily making a startup. It's getting people like, I'm 36 years old, getting people like myself and so many others that are younger in the industry, and get them to the point where they're the ones making the job descriptions.
Yeah.
I already work on that now. Me and my buddy constantly, when we hire people, we look at the job descriptions. We're like, nope, not this. Nope, not this. Okay, we're going to put that in there. But this isn't a requirement. It's a nice to have. Like, okay, I know we're going to be working on this tech stack a lot. And we have some others, but this is like really heavy what we're doing. So I'd like for you to know this. But if you're able to learn on the fly and can pick it up and go, then it's a moot point. But, things like that, it's getting that young security blood in there in charge, because they're the ones that are going to build those job descriptions to put them out to HR and say, look, this is what I want. And I know where I work now, they're like, the recruiters have asked me, because I just hired a senior not too long ago, and they're like, what are you looking for? And they're like, we need to know what to look for so that we can bring them to you. And I was like, okay, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z. It has to be a senior. So we're looking like X amount of years experience. And really, I don't care about certifications. I just care they have knowledge in this technology. And they're like, okay, dude, I found one of the best people I could have found. Senior in the industry, been in it for a while. Me and him talked. He talked, he interviewed with everybody on like 2 different calls. And it was just a great fit. And he's been running things, been doing great as one of my senior consultants now since he came in. But again, it wasn't like, I need you certified, or I need you to have a degree, or I need you to have this. No. I just need you to know certain technologies because I know what business I have coming in. And then I need you to be willing to learn other technologies. Yeah. If you're willing to learn and already have this, then I'm good to go. Yeah. And that's what it came down to. And so I think certain things like that are great from a junior perspective. I don't give a damn what degree you have. I don't give a damn what certification you have. What I care about is, how hungry are you?
Exactly.
Do you have a GitHub repo? Are you on LinkedIn? Have you talked to me? Have you talked to my network? Whether that be you, Blair, or Andrea, or Griffin, or anybody else that I have in my network. If somebody sends someone to me and they're like, hey, this person's a rock star. All right, let me look into them. Let me figure it out. Let's find out what they're doing. That's what matters to me. Not, hey, I passed my OSCP.
Yeah.
Cool, so did I. What's that mean?
Yeah.
Right now, unless you've been breaking in this shit, it don't mean anything.
Right. But and that's one of the things that as a job seeker, that's one of the things that I've always tried to make sure that I expressed and was able to get across, that, I'm teachable. Maybe I don't have exactly the cert you're looking for. Maybe I don't have the degree you're looking for, but I know some stuff and I'm willing to learn. If you're willing to show me, I'm willing to learn it. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to get across to people. And that's, I feel, one of the things that actually helped me out with this new venture I got going.
Yeah, definitely. And I got a great question here.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so I got SARN-ARs real quick. Misha, I'll get to yours in a quick second. Keep in mind, super chats do get auto start, so I do put those up first. But that's besides the point. SARN-AR, infinite improbability AI. Could an issue be that folks up the food chain do not understand IT? Like a boss who hires a network engineer but expects them to know SharePoint because they both involve computers. Dude, you're speaking Army. Signal is signal. It doesn't matter what you do. If you could fix a radio, you could fix a computer. Shit we had to deal with. But what's your take, Blair?
Well, quite honestly, yeah, I mean, one of the things, actually, it's something that I did eons ago, was when one of the companies that I worked for, we were an IT consulting company. And whenever we had one of our clients that had decided that instead of outsourcing all of that to us, they wanted to hire someone, one of the things they would do is they would actually hire me or my supervisor or somebody else to come in and sit with the interviews so that we could actually, us having the knowledge, having what they were looking for already, we could actually see exactly what's going on. And I really feel like that's one of the things that a lot of upper management, they don't seem to want to, go to the people, or at least, hire a consultant, talk to someone that has the knowledge that you're wanting. And, I mean, I'm sure it's not necessarily cost effective to hire a consultant to do your job interviews for people, but still, at least get a better idea of it. It's just like with that one job that burned me really bad. You know, they were talking about, well, how are your ticket times whenever, somebody puts in an incident? And I was like, okay, well, I was conditioned to have a very, hard SLA on stuff like that. And they're like, well, if somebody has a printer that's down, how would you prioritize that? And I'm like, well, okay, if the rest of the site's down, then they can deal with their printer later. I've got networking things to do, but, it's like that. A lot of people think, and especially exactly that, just because everything connects together, well, that's all IT's job, or that's all, a network engineer's job. But the people really do need to do a little bit more homework whenever they're trying to hire for these positions, I feel.
So do you feel it would be a red flag if you interviewed somewhere and they didn't have either A, any technical questions,
Mhm.
or B, if you asked them about their tech stack and they knew nothing?
Honestly, I feel that could be a potential red flag because, just in my experience, anyone who doesn't know anything about tech, yeah, you'll get you'll get incidents like, one time I had an issue where we were literally having a site outage, and I was trying to reboot the server and get it back up and running. And then somebody came up and said, "Oh yeah, well, I just moved my printer and now it doesn't work." And I told them, "Okay, well, plug it back in." I was in the middle of something. And they said, "Well, I'm not IT. I'm not paid to do IT's work. You need to come down there and replug my printer in for me." And yeah, I'm not, and I'm seriously not joking about this. And I'm like, where could my supervisor have, stepped into that, because he was also kind of complaining, why is this printer down? Oh, well, I don't know. I'm working on this server that's causing us essentially a revenue outage right now. So I'm working on something a higher priority. So, but to them, it's all computer stuff. So it's all the highest, ultimately the highest priority. But
Yeah, I mean, hey, I can't access Facebook. Dude,
yeah.
we had commanders that were pissed about that. I kid you not, they couldn't access Facebook or YouTube or some other social media, and it was like the end of the world for them.
Oh,
My man
yeah.
here can tell you
The the
all the time.
face yeah, the big Facebook outage. I couldn't tell you how many tickets I had to close because everybody thought it was a network outage at our site, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's much bigger than this.
Dude,
So,
we used to get yelled at in the army when Nipper had issues, or if like somebody put a block in, or something like that. It was out of our control because we were like deployed, and so we had no control over what happened.
right.
And they were like, I can't access Facebook. And
Yep.
your job will go on. You'll be okay. You're at work, homie. It'll be all right. Pump the brakes.
Yep.
So, yeah, things like that happen. I do think that is one of the biggest issues, though, is you will find places. So here's the deal: when you work for a company, when you work for an organization, let's say a hospital, an engineering place, um, a small mom and pop, a Walmart, anything like that, you run the risk of people coming in, being in directors and managers and hiring positions that have no clue what IT is or how to ask or properly interview somebody. And unless they are willing to bring in their technical staff to interview you, then you have no sense of what's going on. This is why LinkedIn and social networking is very important, because then you can see who's actually employed there. Even though it can be wrong, you can do your due diligence and find out exactly who's there. Talk to them, get a feel for things, figure out how things are going on. And also kind of look at their hardware stack also, because then you'll actually know what software they're using. If you look at a job description for a company and it says, hey, I need someone that knows Splunk and firepower and da 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 da, then you know what their tech stack should be.
Mhm.
Not what it is, because let's be honest, they could be wrong,
Oh, yeah.
but what it should be. And so at that point, you know whether or not it's going to work out for you.
Yeah.
But you'll have those interviewers, managers, directors, or whatever that have been out of the game so long or have never been in the game. They just got handed a position. We're like, hey, you're in charge of people now. And so when they interview, they don't interview based on a technical basis. It's more of a personality basis.
Right.
So you need to find out if you're ever going to have an actual technical interview. If you're not going to have a technical interview, that's the red flag. But you should always have at least one technical interview in the grand scheme of things.
Yep.
But going from that, we've got more. Man, they're on fire today. Griffin coming through. Craziest things he has seen. He got interviewed from a different company because they had the knowledge that didn't exist in the company yet. But that is a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Blair brought that up. That is a great way to do it. Hire a consulting company to do the interview for you. That way you actually get the technical expertise on staff that you were missing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We got a lot of good stuff here. Misha coming in. We've talked about this, but Blair, I'll let you touch on this. I'm going to touch on this because Misha's finally making her way around back into social media. Need to help her out.
Yeah.
How do you make a resume when you don't have certs or prior experience, but are wanting to learn while working on certs or degrees or whatever?
Well, one of the things that I always do, and this is something I actually got a lot of resume help within the last few months. One of the things that I've done is I've started creating an objective on the top of my resume. I'll be honest with you, I use I use a template that I found out on the web that has a really good, place at the top to write up an objective. Any certs that I want to learn, I always try to say, that I'm eager to learn this, such as because I'm taking the Security Plus as part of my program in WGU. I do actually put that in as Security Plus is something, that is in the pipeline for me. And I have to do the same thing with my degree program because, even though I don't have my degree yet, I still want to make sure that they know that I'm in the process of it.
So I've done that once.
Mm-hmm.
Once I put on there, I was in progress with my master's degree. Never finished it. Eventually just ripped it off my resume. I'm never going to finish my master's. It's never going to happen. I don't care. Screw it. I got my degree, got my certs, got my experience. I really don't give a damn. If you ain't going to hire me because I ain't got a master's, then get bent. I really don't care.
Yeah.
But I understand where you're coming from. And I do think that is a valid way because it checks those boxes, right? Because when you look at a lot of your ATS systems, they're looking for certain terminology. So if you put Security Plus there, if you put bachelor's degree there, if you put whatever, then it at least gets it through the door.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about that if you network.
Yeah, that's true.
If you were putting out there what you learn, if you're putting out there how you're growing, that you're doing lab work, and on your resume, under experience, put anything you're doing at home. Yeah. Under experience, if you don't have tech experience yet in the enterprise, in the corporation, that's fine. I want to know what labs you're building. I want to know that you're building a home lab with Active Directory and Azure AD and, Security Onion and all this other stuff that you can get for free. I want to know you're doing that.
Yeah.
Because if I know you're doing that, I know you're hungry and willing to learn.
Oh, yeah.
The certifications, the degrees, dude, I'll help my company. Anywhere that you work should help you pay for those. Yeah. As a junior, they should help you pay for those. I care more about what are you doing that is free, that you are able to afford on your own. What are you doing? Yeah. That's what matters. Do you have a blog, something I can read? Maybe you did Hack the Box and you were like, hey, I got all this. Cool. I want to see that blog. Give me a link. Give me something I can read so I can see what you're learning and what you're doing.
Right.
That's what matters. So if you have a resume, I would look at junior positions that have no experience listed.
Yeah.
That have no requirements listed. They have nice to haves.
Yeah.
It would be nice if you had this. It would be great if you had that.
Mm-hmm.
But our requirements are you breathing?
Yeah. Yeah. If you've got a pulse, please apply,
right? But again, this is where your network comes into play. And again,
Exactly.
for me in a junior role, red flags are definitely somebody that's like 3 to 5 years experience.
Yeah.
No, I'm not applying.
Yeah.
I'm not. If I was a junior, when I was a junior, and at that, if you're asking for 3 to 5 years experience and I get that interview, I'm asking for top dollar of whatever your salary range is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if that's the experience level that they're looking for, then you're well within right to ask that too. Exactly.
I'm like, I don't care. And that's the thing. That's one of the other things we got to get past. When we're looking at red flags of companies, those these days, those who don't list their salary range.
Oh yes, definitely.
If you don't list, hey, we're paying $80,000 to $100,000 for this job based on experience level. Bet I can handle that. You know what? I completely understand because maybe I've been in the field a year and a half, and I haven't touched anything in the technology you're looking for. So $85,000 a year, I got you.
Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, we're looking for all of this, well, what's the salary range? Oh, well, what are you looking for? No, that's not what I asked. I asked what the salary range was.
Yeah.
And I've had people not tell me the salary range. And so I'll come up with something obscure. I'm like, 280. That's what my salary is. They're like, oh, we can't afford that. Well, then you can't afford me. Like, I give them these off the wall numbers for the sole purpose of I want to know your salary range. If you're not willing to give it to me, I'm not willing to work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot too. Because years ago I was looking for a remote job and actually was approached by another company. It was very similarly for a remote position. It was another administration position, exactly like what I was doing. And again, went through the technical interview and everything. I did notice that they never really mentioned the salary, and I'm like, okay, fine. I'm sure that they did ask me what my salary requirements were, and I told them. I mean, of course, I goosed the figure a little bit. I mean, may as well make it worth my while, right? And then they came at me with less than half of what I was making. And I'm like, absolutely not. No way, no how. And, I'm sorry. I'm not even going to entertain that as an offer. Goodbye. Get them out of here with that.
Yep, definitely. So I got a super chat from Jack. Jack, we're going to throw this up here. What do you think of taking a job at a reduced pay scale to get the experience in that position? There. On to you, homie.
Been there, done that, and quite honestly, it was not worth it. I'll be honest, because I mean, just to get the experience of that, it's I have done that before. I had one job that I left one company to go to another one. I thought it was going to be an amazing move for my career. Problem is, it was going to be a 15% pay reduction. And I'm like, okay, give me a few years and finally we'll be able to, get past that, to me though, it put my family in a bit of a bind, and that right there made it not worth it for me. And then I was with that company for years, and guess what? I never got back to that figure that I made previously. And I was like, this absolutely was not worth it. And so, yeah, no, I definitely do not at all recommend that. I mean, get paid what you're worth. Just know your worth and get paid what you're worth.
And that's most definitely get what you owed, right? So only once in my career, and we're talking, I started working at 14 years old. Only once in my career have I taken a pay cut. Only once. And that was because I was also paid commission. Mm-hmm. I just never made my commission because I hated sales. So it didn't work out great for me.
Yeah.
But that was it. Other than that, I've always gotten a raise everywhere I went. But then there was one other time actually. And that's because I got fired from a job. Mm-hmm. So my next job was 10 grand a year less.
Yeah.
It took me 2 years to get back up to what I was at.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a huge cut. Like if you think about it, it's what, $1,000 a month, less than $1,000 a month that I took a hit. Yeah. With taxes and all that other BS, who knows?
Yeah.
So it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't like a willful cut. It was, I need a job, just pay me, please.
Yeah.
But I came from the Army where I was making, I don't know, 80 grand. They said if you make like 90 grand a year, then it equates to what you make in the military with benefits and everything. Mm-hmm. And my first job at the Army, I was making $62,000 a year. with a CI, no, with 4 standard certifications, my degree, and my CCNA. I could go through the alphabet.
Right.
Yeah, $62,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that'll lead me into the next question because it's a great one. But taking a job, reduced pay scale to get the experience, if you can afford it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. If you can afford it. If you can't afford it, don't do it. If you can afford it, if you can still live, survive, pay your bills, eat, and everything else, then do it just for the experience. I've seen a lot of people do it. A lot of people come from management and things like that, and like baristas and all this other stuff, and bartenders and people to make tons of money one way or another, come into cybersecurity or IT at a reduced pay scale for the experience.
Right.
If you can afford it, you got to know your lifestyle. You got to know what you can afford. If you can't afford it, don't do it. But again, that leads me to my next question. From Zbor, how long should you hang out at a shit job before looking elsewhere? I'm gonna give you the answer, but I'm gonna let Blair answer.
Well, quite honestly, I usually give just about every job 2 years, and that's just what I've done. But to be completely honest, if I see that there is no path forward, I don't care if I've only been there for 6 months. If they tell me flat out that, okay, well, this is going to be your job, and if we need somebody else at a higher level, we'll just bring them in. Then guess what? I'm already looking.
Yeah. So, me personally, I start looking right away.
Yeah.
And that's just me. And again, I don't have any more within this industry. There's no such thing as company loyalty.
Right.
I am loyal to the people I work for. If I enjoy the people I work for, then there's no such thing as a shit job. I might be getting shit pay.
Yeah.
The job itself can be great because I love what I'm doing. I love who I work for. If I get hired just because I need to get experience and get into a job and things like that, I'm just trying to find my foot in the door, and you're not paying me what I'm worth.
Yeah.
And again, my first job out the Army, I took that job solely because I needed a job. I have a wife and 5 kids. I needed to be able to provide for them. So I was like, yeah, give me this job. And then as soon as I got that job, I was applying to other jobs. Within 6 months, I was gone.
Yeah.
Didn't get fired. I legitimately left for about $30-some thousand more a year.
Yeah.
I was not, there was no settling for me. It's not, oh, I'm going to stick around for a year and a half and hope they, no. I'm out, homies. Deuces. See you later. This sucks.
Yeah.
So it comes down to, what is a shit job to you? If the shit job is shit pay, that's one thing. But is the job actually shitty in and of itself? That could be a you problem.
Yeah, that could be. Now, I actually do have a bit of an experience to share with this, because I was working there were an MSP that were sending me on site to do a lot of the on site break fix stuff, especially with networking gear. And my goal when I first started that job, and I even told the hiring manager when I was hired, is that, listen, I want to come in here, I want to prove myself, but I want to go back into management because I've been in management before. I've been a project manager before.
Right.
And I told him flat out when he hired me, I'm like, listen, I'm going to come in here and I want to be a manager. Essentially, I was telling him, hey, dude, I want your job. And he and I had such a good rapport over the course of time that, he was 100% on board. I was essentially his right-hand person. And everything was fine. I was on track to be a service an area supervisor, even down to the point that I already had the ability to reassign tickets to other places, reallocate assets, and do all of this other stuff. I was the one that was holding meetings, with basically my peers. And then the company got bought out by another company, and we were told that, okay, well, we're no longer going to be promoting managers from the field. We're going to be hiring them in. And I was like, I'm looking, and this is like 4.5 years of hard work that I put into it, just gone. So immediately I started looking, and that's when I found that other job that was technically a help desk job that I turned into a network administration and then cybersecurity job.
Yeah. And for me, it was, my first job, and people who want to do some research, they're more than willing. I don't care. I'm not going to name drop them, but we're all looking at IT and cybersecurity. And so for me, my first job, Again, $62,000 a year. But then they included bonuses as part of your salary and compensation. Homie, I can't pay my electric bill off of a bonus. Because then I got to hope that that big bill hits at the time the bonus hits. And that's not always guaranteed. And our bonuses weren't guaranteed either because it was based on the revenue that the company made at that time. So $62,000 a year. That's what I was making. Yeah. And with that, I looked at it and I was like, I can't work here. I took the job, applied elsewhere, and I was out.
Yep.
And everything I did there was wrong. So, for context, anybody who knows me, anybody who's seen my videos, anybody who's seen any of my content, they know I'm a drinker and I'm a smoker. It's what I do. It's who I am. It's part of me. You're not going to change me, so don't try. But every hour-ish, going out to have a cigarette. Take me 5-10 minutes, come back in. If I had shit to do, shit was getting done. My job was always done. Always. If I sent you an email because you told me to do something and I wanted your review on it because you said you wanted it reviewed and I sent it to you and it took you 3 hours, that's on you, homie, not on me. And so that's what things that would kind of happen. And so kind of snowballed into an effect of I started taking interviews on the job.
Yeah.
I legitimately did. I'd be on the job, jump on a phone call. Oh, hey, we want to talk to you about this, this, and this. All right, cool. I'll walk out.
Yeah.
Let's go talk. Let's do it. I don't care because I was getting judged. I was getting critiqued. Everything I did was wrong.
Right.
Look, I come from the military. You know how many times I walked out as an NCO into that smoke pit? Every freaking hour on the hour I was there.
Yeah.
Nobody ever complained. So you're complaining why? Well, other people see you out there all the time. You're right, I am, but my job is done and my job is done well. It is not my fault. Your IT staff does not want to do their job.
Right.
That's not on me.
Yep.
That's on you. COVID-19 ended the company loyalty. Let's be honest, company loyalty ended when we hit millennials.
Yeah.
Because then the manufacturing went off the rails. Manufacturing isn't the same. Coal mines aren't the same. And you no longer have a pension. You have a 401k that you hope builds up.
Yeah.
So now being loyal to a company does not guarantee you a retirement.
Right.
You better hope that 401k goes up because pensions are gone. Yeah. So why be loyal to a company that isn't going to pay you?
Yeah, there's no reason to. And, and there's still a lot of people out there now that don't even have 401ks because all they've been able to do is get, just low paying jobs and, go from, having to live check to check to check to check and not be able to put anything back, which, that's rough.
And again, it comes down to, though, when I look at it, pensions meant something.
Oh, yeah.
Pensions were a reason that kept people loyal to you because if you're there 20 years, every 5, 10, 25, 15, whatever, how many years, you got something from it. You got bonuses or stuff like that. You got watches, you got whatever. Now, if you're with a company for X amount of years, okay, what do we care?
Yeah.
You could be there for 20 years. You could literally, you graduate high school at 18 years old. 18. Work for a company until retirement age. 62, what is it now? 62, 65, something like that.
Yeah.
They keep changing it. And you will get whatever's in your 401k. You're not given a pension from the company you're with.
Yeah.
That does not make sense to me.
No.
You've been that. And people wonder why others chase money or will leave an organization for more money and potentially a better opportunity. Potentially. Not always. Grass isn't always greener. And so you look at things like that and it's like, oh, well, there's not enough talent. Oh, nobody's loyal. Oh, millennials don't want to work. Oh, this, all that. Nah, you're not giving anybody a reason to stay.
Exactly. I mean, you basically, from my perspective, I've had all of these opportunities that were promised to me and then they get taken away from me or something like that. Well, I'm not going to stay for that. I mean, to me, it's just not worth it. I mean, and like I said, I even did go from one job to another. taking a pay cut. It was about $15K a year. And then when I went to the other company, their benefits package was terrible, and it cost me more money. So it was even more money that was out the door for us.
Yep.
So, was that a good decision? Well, not really. I kind of regretted it afterward. But,
And it's just one of those things, right? When you look at, and again, people talk about red flags. Other than what we discussed earlier, I don't think there's very many others. The red flags come from when you do the interview and actually go to an organization, because it's more culturally. Are they going to respect you for who you are? Are they going to understand that you have the knowledge you have? Are they going to listen to you? Are they going to be receptive? Are they going to be able to vibe with you? Because look, let's be honest. Some people, like the company I work for and the way I do things, we come from a military background. I talk shit on my counterpart all the time. We will be in chat and I'll call him a bunch of shit. I'll call him an angry dwarf. Whatever. It happens. It's who we are.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're one of those people that just can't really take a joke, or like, and we're not talking sexism or anything like that. We're just talking just a straight joke of like, yo, do some work. Like, meanwhile, they're like 150% booked. They've been overutilized forever. And they're like, seriously? Like, I work all the time. No shit. I see what you do on a regular basis is a joke.
Yeah.
Take the joke for what it is.
Yeah.
And then you got someone like me, my boss will send me something and I'm like, great. Now I actually got to work for a living. This is bullshit. Bullshit, homie. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's my job. I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
But if you can't have fun at work, there's an issue.
Yeah.
But everybody's type of work is different. Everybody's type of fun is different.
Right.
And so if you notice that an organization is racist, why would you go work there? Right. If you notice an organization is sexist, why would you go work there? Yeah. If you notice an organization is not right for you, why would you try to work there? Right. And all of these things can be filtered out in an interview.
Oh, yeah.
Just by how they speak to you, how they ask you questions, how they do things, how they operate. If they think you're stupid because of the way you look, it's noticeable.
Yeah.
You should be able to pick up on these things. And if you can't, then your emotional IQ is not as high as your actual IQ.
Yeah.
Which then is a whole different issue.
Yeah.
Because, when they're almost in balance, you can usually pick up on when somebody's being ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where part of the problem lies, is people aren't seeing this and then they want to change the organization. They're like, oh, I want to work there. Oh, they did all this stuff wrong to me, so I want to change them. No, you shouldn't have worked there in the first place.
Exactly. It was like not a good fit.
It should have never worked for you. You should have turned down the offer or quit the interviews or done whatever. And that's the other one. If they want to interview you more than like twice, 3 times at the most. And that's if it's like you're going to have a lot of interaction with that third person that you're talking to. Yeah. So it makes sense for you to talk to them, then okay. If you're not going to have that interaction, then there shouldn't be an interview. Yeah. And so that's part of my issue with the military. They did boards and shit like that. And it was like, dude, you don't know me from Adam. I don't give a damn what you think of me. You don't see me. You don't know me. I do my job and I do it damn well. Hence the reason I'm here. So just give me my promotable status. Let me go on my way. Yeah. I shouldn't know 50 million creeds and all the different regulations because nobody knows them. They all got to look them up. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it gets weird. Like you should just know some of those red flags should be pointed out in an interview and you should just bounce. If you get mad after you get a job for shit that you should have known in an interview, that's on you. Like that is legitimately a you issue, not a company issue. You should have seen that shit and just bounced and be like, nope, this ain't for me.
Yep.
Did I put this one up there? No, I did not. So we're gonna put this one up.
Okay.
Z-Board coming through in the clutch. Is experience level based on overall IT experience or experience with any of the tech listed in the position?
Well, that is a good one.
Depends on the company.
It really does. It really does, because I know that a lot of companies, they want, especially in I've got more experience interviewing for IT positions. So a lot of companies, they are wanting you for a specific thing, to stay within your lane on some things. So they definitely are looking for you to have strong networking or strong systems administration and stuff like that. Now, IT is such a broad career, it's such a broad thing, that, I think unless they're really looking for you as a, as a generalist, like you're going to be like one of two people, one of three people there, then, I think then the experience level should be considered from all aspects of it. It really just depends on what position is and what they're specifically looking for, if they know.
Yeah, definitely. And again, it comes down to the organization is one of the biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
Is it levels of experience in the tech stack they're looking for,
Yeah.
or is it general IT or what have you? But I still state, and this is my opinion, as a hiring manager or somebody who is a practice manager, somebody that's been in this field for way too long, if I put years of experience and I'm looking for a junior role, that's 0 to 1. 0, zero, zilch, nine, none, nunca, never, ever, no years experience in a junior role.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for anything. I'm looking for your hunger to learn. I'm looking for the fact that you may have some semblance of the ability to hit the ground and learn what I want to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a junior role. I would hope you have some IT experience, know how to turn a computer on, know how to like work with Linux a little bit, maybe some, different tech stacks. Like I'm going to look through your resume and be like, all right, this person's hungry. They've actually done labs. They've done Hack the Box. They've done whatever.
Right.
But I'm not looking for years of experience in the industry.
Yeah.
At all. But again, every organization is different. So when they say like 3 to 5 years, it could be 3 to 5 years in Splunk. It could be 3 to 5 years in cybersecurity. It could be 3 to 5 years in IT. It could be 1 to 3 years, whatever the case may be. Every organization is different. I cannot speak for every organization. I can say if I say 0 to 2 years of experience, unless I am specifically looking for a certain tech stack, it is legitimately 0 to like 2 to 3 years on anything. That's all it is. If I say 0 years, it's 0 years. Not IT, not cyber, literally 0 years. But I'm hoping you have some of the background knowledge to at least be able to learn it, because I'm going to hire you based on your hunger to learn. And if you haven't done anything to go forward to actually learn it, probably not going to get hired.
Yeah.
I want to know that you're hungry and learning on your own. Damn, so many. All right, so next one. Zbor, how can you calculate your worth?
Well, that to be honest with you, that right there's a something that eluded me for the longest time, because I kept wondering, am I truly being paid, adequately? And honestly, I just took what the salaries that people were offering for a lot of these jobs. And then, of course, I was also talking to my peers. Only, I have friends that are network administrators. I would ask them, politely, if they were willing to share the information, like, what are you making? I mean, just give me, higher or lower with this figure. And then, really just, for me, that right there, honestly, has been one of the most difficult things, because for the longest time, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know what my worth was. So it was almost like the companies that were offering me the positions, they were dictating that. Well, later on, I started, asking for more. I started asking for more until, and it was always just kind of the, throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like, okay, fine. If you're willing to pay that for me, then sure, I'll be more than happy to come work for you. But,
Some of the other bigger things that you have to consider is the cost of living, right? So know where you live.
Yeah.
Now, also know where the company is based, though. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But just as story time, because I love to tell stories. When I was retiring out of the Army, I wanted to go work for a pen testing company that were based out of Maryland, D.C. area. Now, I knew damn well that I wasn't worth what I was asking for. I knew this, but I also knew I had a wife and 5 kids that I had to take care of. So I told this organization I wanted $140,000 a year. They were based out of DC. I would have had to have lived there because there was some on-site shit. There was other things that was going on. Had to be there. And I knew what the cost of living was. You see, for me to afford to live there with the family that I had to make X amount of dollars. If I didn't make that kind of money, I would have been driving every day. It would have been a pain in the ass. It was not going to work. They offered me $20,000 a year less. Well, guess what? That's almost $2,000 a year, $2,000 a month less than what I needed to make to be able to survive.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not going to take that job. So you have to look at your family situation and your situation, what you can afford, because your worth isn't always necessarily calculated by your knowledge and the ability to do the job. It's also calculated by what do you need to survive. I will not take a job less than X amount of dollars, but I will always, when somebody offers me a job, put myself in at the highest tier, because you got to have that confidence that you believe in you and you can do the damn job.
Yeah.
And so when they come down, okay, no worries. But you brought yourself in at the highest tier because you deserve it and you earned it. It's on you. Your worth is what you value yourself at. Yeah. Me, when I told an organization that I was making $140,000 a year maybe, and I told a company I wanted $250,000. Mm-hmm. I had only been at this new company less than 6 months. I said I wanted $250,000 a year for me to leave.
Yeah,
that was twofold. One, because I didn't want to leave. I loved where I was working, didn't want to leave, so I knew they weren't going to meet it.
Yeah.
Two, because if they did meet it, well, then I was going to be making $250,000 a year, and I'd be making a hell of a lot more money than I am now. But that's one of those things. You got to look at it, and you got to value what you're worth, and look at it and say, I want the most that I can get.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to throw off the wall numbers.
Yeah.
Male, female, it don't matter. If you're in a position where you can afford to survive, live, and thrive off of what you earn now, then when somebody offers you a position, go off the wall. Unless you really want that position. Yeah. Like if it's something like, I need this, it's going to give me that $30,000, $40,000 more a year to get to where I want to need to be, then okay, you can play ball. But if it's something where you don't care if you get the job or not, I have no problem. I have literally, like I said, I've legitimately told companies like some off the wall numbers, 250, 300,000. Mm-hmm. Like I just retired of the Army and told some companies I wanted 180. Like it's happened.
Yeah.
You just can't be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
And again, it's if you could afford your current life situation. Right. If you cannot, if you're struggling, then just look for those bumps until you can finally be comfortable in your own skin and say, I know what I'm worth.
Right.
I'm worth $100 an hour, so I'm going to charge $100 an hour. I'm worth $200 an hour, so that's what I'm going to charge. Whatever the case may be, it comes down to you, your knowledge, and what you are confident in. And you have to be confident in you. Because as I always say, it's all about you, homie.
Yep.
Nobody else. Nobody can tell you what you're worth but you.
Yeah. And to reinforce that, yeah, like I said, I kind of learned that mistake the hard way by taking that one job that was at a pay cut. And, it put me and my family in a bad financial situation. And it took me a long time to dig myself out of that hole.
Yeah.
But guess what? I ain't going to do that again. So that's what made my value go up a little bit for me. You
gotta just take the job and go with it, man. Just go and grow. That's all you can do. Exactly. And again, I'm where you were at. So look, I got 2 more comments / questions I'm gonna get to. There's probably more in chat that I'm gonna look at here in a minute. But I know you personally are dealing with some hard times based on what had happened, based on some situations. I know you got ways out there to support you yourself. Like I said, everything to CyberWarriorStudios is all going to the Latrobe Youth Football Organization. So if you want to throw those super chats out there, go ahead. But otherwise, Blair, you have things out there to support you because of the shit you've been through. Go ahead and let them know, homie.
Okay. Well, you can find it. You can find a link to a GoFundMe that I have. Then what this GoFundMe is doing, it's on my Twitter profile. So if you go to DM3K_tech, which is on Twitter or X, but I'm still going to call it Twitter. But anyway, I have a GoFundMe link there. And now it is specifically for funding me to get to my next paycheck. I literally burned through everything that I had to try to keep my family afloat for almost 2 months with absolutely no income. I took every side gig I could find. I wound up selling a lot of stuff. My poor 3D printer, it's anyway. So, it's things like that. I did everything that I could. Now, I definitely need support in getting to my first paycheck, which is going to be in several weeks. There's a GoFundMe link out there. I actually had a link for Zelle and PayPal at one point on there. I actually need to throw those back out there. So those will be on my Twitter feed. So, I mean, if you want to go follow me on Twitter, I know a lot of you do follow me on Twitter. I don't get a chance to catch the show live as much as I used to, but I do, I still try to catch it. This was, what am I going to do Tuesday during my lunch break, man?
Don't worry, man. I got more content coming. It's gonna be coming. It's gonna be coming.
There you go. But anyway, so yeah, you can go to my Twitter page or to my Twitter profile, and you'll see the GoFundMe link. It's pinned there. And seriously, all the proceeds from that are going to help me get me through to my next paycheck. And what I have decided is quite literally all of this goes into a separate bank account for me to use for this. What I've decided is when I get my first paycheck, everything that's left over, I'm going to be donating to a charity. And I haven't decided yet which one that is. I'm probably going to put a poll out later just to try to see what other people think as far as who it should go to.
The Charlie Football Organization is 501. You can write that off. Just throwing it out there.
Gotcha.
So don't send it to me. Just if you're going to write a check, you can just mail it. I'll give you the P.O. box. Come out.
Gotcha. Yeah, because you see, I'm not trying to profit off of this. I am just trying to support my family. I'm trying to get to my first paycheck. And that's actually how I am here today. It's been through generous donations through GoFundMe, donations through Zelle, through PayPal. That's actually gotten me here to this point. I am 2 states away from my family right now. And, I've still got a few more weeks before I'll get that first paycheck. So I definitely could use all the support, anybody wants to throw at me. And then, like I said, once I get that paycheck, then I'm going to be donating the rest of it because, again, I'm not trying to profit off of this. I'm just trying to survive and trying to get to my next paycheck.
Most definitely. All right. So, Blair, we are at 8:12, so we've gone for quite some time. And I just looked at the time and realized how long we've been going. So I'm very happy with this episode. It's been a great episode. But in order to continue on, this is what I need from you.
Yes, sir.
I need your final. Wow. Wait. Time out. Pump the brakes. We got to stop. I just looked at my screen. I got 2-star comments, and then we'll get to you.
Okay.
First and foremost, from Tiffany Grants. I've always been taught it's not them interviewing you for the job. It's you interviewing them to see if you want to work there. Very valid points. I'm not going to get into the conversation solely because of the time. However, Blair, you can touch on it in your final words here in a second. But I do want to say that it's out there and very valid because you should interview the company that you're trying to work for. Next, Brad Proctor. Brad Proctor. May have already been said, but considering the Hackers poster 28 years ago today, this movie was released.
Hack the Planet.
Damn straight. All right, I had to put that one out there. I literally started for purpose.
Yep.
Otherwise, look, so we are well over the top of the hour. Please give us your final words, and then I'll give mine.
Okay. So yeah, listen, I mean, and really that last comment was good. You are.
Whoa, whoops. Hold on, okay. You got muted, Blair. Go ahead.
Okay, no worries. So yeah, no, that last comment is spot on. You're interviewing the company just as much as they're interviewing you. So you need to make sure that you first off want to work there. But listen, don't ignore the red flags. I've been through this. If anything has come out of this experience, maybe let me be an example of what can happen if you ignore those red flags. So please, if something doesn't seem right, maybe it's time to pump the brakes and look for another opportunity. Nope. Are you there? Derek, you still there?
having
There
here.
you
Sorry.
go.
There were some
Okay,
technical
no,
difficulties. Technical difficulties. It's okay.
gotcha.
Things
Gotcha.
happen. And look, Misha, I'm not old. I'm only 36. Leave me alone. And I would stream forever, but I've got things I got to take care of. Now, otherwise, again, this is Security Happy Hour, and I want you to see all the red flags. I want you to understand that you can get out there and you can do it. Grab the brass ring, as they say in WWE. Go out there and go for it. Break through that glass ceiling. If you do not see someone out there that looks like you, acts like you, does like you, be the first. Quit looking for somebody to take your place, for somebody to be the first one to do something. Go out there and do it. Earn it. Deserve it.
Yep.
Quit being shy. Quit hiding away. Quit being anonymous, because you deserve everything that you work for. Nobody can tell you otherwise. Otherwise, look, this is me. This is the Cyber Warrior. This is CyberWarriorStudios Security Happy Hour. As always, I love you all. You are all my warriors. You're all my family. One more time, any super chats that you throw down below, any tips, any donations from the description of the YouTube video down below. There's Cash App, there's PayPal, there's merchandise like this amazing shirt right here, and so much else out there. You are more than welcome to go. All that is going to go to the Latrobe Youth Football League at least until the end of the year, if not longer, depending on how long it takes for me to raise the money that I want to give to them. But otherwise, y'all take care. Y'all have a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you all next time.